Welcome to Carrying Wayward, a supernatural podcast for fans who aren't ready to let go and newcomers to the series who are ready to jump in. I'm Drew Schulman.
And I'm Marie Vigourou. In this episode, we're diving into Supernatural Season 9, Episode 11, Firstborn. Let's get this show on the road. So it is still August here, like in our recording timeline. So it's actually kind of hard to know what we might be doing like in late November, given that we haven't really like planned that far ahead. We're just kind of like speeding through the recordings. But yeah, November 21st, I think, is when this episode is scheduled to come out. So I don't know. I don't really know what to say in the housekeeping, but I guess that the holidays are approaching. And so you could consider like gifting your Supernatural friends a Patreon membership to this podcast, because not only would you be gifting something to someone that you love, you would also be supporting us. I didn't even know that you could like gift a Patreon membership, but here we are. Yay.
I mean, that's news to me, and I love that. And honestly, I think the gift of community and podcast is kind of super charming and amazing. But we really want to thank everyone who has joined or rejoined the Patreon coffees since we started back from a hiatus. It's been so nice to see, the activity never really stopped, but it's gotten bigger and everything since.
Exactly. I mean, like, of course, when the podcast is active and like there's stuff coming out, there's more to discuss than when like, nothing is happening. But yeah, no, I really love that the Patreon, sorry, the Discord always kind of kept going. Like that was always really nice. But yeah, now I guess it's like thumping again, like
It is. We had a big conversation a few days ago, like just recommending podcasts to each other for
yeah.
for like a longer road trip or some more narrative stuff. And there's been some great like sharing and feedback. It's been super lovely.
I know. I love people in our Discord. It's
They're
really
so
great.
good to us.
Well, Drew, are we ready for the recap of this absolutely bonkers episode?
Oh, count me down.
All right, three, two, one. What the fuck?
You're telling me. We continue the trend of Dean hanging out with Crowley, which I love. Sam and Cass hang out too, and they have a kind of a B plot here, which is interesting and like, we can touch on. But like, it's the Crowley and Dean show. This is like the road trip we want. This is the Winston Cece mess around from from New Girl. I digress. Crazy adventure. They are after some sort of mythical thing, like the next MacGuffin that might be able to kill Abaddon or the Knights of Hell. It turns out it's Cain, from Cain and Abel, from the Bible, because that's just canonical and a thing. And this whole thing was Crowley's plan the whole time to get Dean here, and none of it was an accident. And like Crowley's been playing like the triple long game here, and it's freaking nuts. But we get the mark of Cain, which is a thing that now Dean has, and Crowley's gonna go swimming for some first blade made of a jawbone that was the one that you used to kill Abel. I have so many questions. I'm not a religious person, but that's everything I have to talk about. Also, yeah, cast PB&J's Grace time.
So this episode was written by Robbie Thompson, directed by John Badham, and it originally aired on January 21st, 2020. No, 2014. Whoa, what did I just say? Oh my God. I'm kind of hoping that stuff is going to start. Well, 2024 is in the past. But anyway, I don't really know where to start with this episode just because there's so much going on. Well, okay. So I just want to point out a few things. Just because this is such a huge episode, there's a lot happening. A lot of things are moving forward. A lot of things are changing. This is kind of a pivot episode for the season, right? Like we're moving from one storyline to the next. So we're going to have a few things in the long game. So when Crowley is very clearly flirting with Dean at the bar and trying to get him to like go home with him, to go first blade hunting with him, he smells a carnation. And just a little bit of queer history. Oscar Wilde pretty famously had his gay friends surreptitiously replace the roses on their lapels for carnations so that they could identify each other safely in a crowd.
I didn't even make this connection. I Mm. Like I knew this. This is I love the Oscar Wilde lore. Like there's so many fun stories there. Like I've known this one. I did not put two and two together, and that is just beautiful. Damn it, Crowley.
I know, Crowley. Crowley, I think Crowley has a little
Well, like
crush.
now that they're not enemies anymore, and he's like, well, I don't have to murder you anymore. What else can I do to you?
I don't think Crowley would have ever just murdered Dean. That's
No,
what I'm
it's too
saying.
much fun of a game.
So we get the famous "It tastes like molecules" line.
Oh,
And like you said, we do find out that Cass actually really liked peanut butter and grape jelly sandwiches when he was human because not jam, jam was unsettling.
I kind of love that, and also I completely agree with him, and I don't know what that says about me, but like I am fully on his side with that one. Like grape jelly, yeah, jam, no.
It's interesting because the last time that PB&Js were like mentioned on Supernatural, it was Mary making a PB&J with the crusts cut off for Dean.
Yeah,
Right. So, PB&J is like a comfort food for Dean. Yeah, just saying, just saying, just saying. That's all. We also get Cass saying, saying that he is actually a very good liar because I once deceived and betrayed you and your brother, which I just find so funny. Like this is peak Cass in this moment. Like he's in peak form in this episode, Cass, I have to say.
it is very much that moment where like you say something, not like there's zero negative intent. There is no part of that sentence that's meant to be like I'm belittling you because I beat you at a thing. It's almost like a no, like you were the hardest people to deceive, and I deceived you. Like that's how good I am. Like
Yes,
it's
but
you.
it's
You guys are
just
great. I just was a little better.
I know. Oh, Cass. Oh, anyway. We find out that one of the things that John Winchester did while leaving his kids alone in motel rooms was spend lovely weekends together with women.
Yes. I mean, if we're just gonna pile on, like it's one thing. I hate this man so damn much.
We meet Tara briefly, who hunted with John, and she is like obsessed with Dean the second that she sees him. And Crowley is like not happy about it. And frankly, it is a little weird. Like it's weird. It's weird. Like, it's weird.
Yeah, yeah. It's you know what, like I think this is one of those things where again, like if you like flip the gender, it becomes even more evident how icky it is. But like there is kind of this trope of like the older woman being obsessed with like her like the person she can never have is like younger like child but who's of like a fair age. Like it's icky, it's a trope, it's a bad trope, but it's a trope and it's I don't like it. So like I don't think Tara deserves the outcome she gets, but like that whole interaction just did not feel good. No.
I mean, it's just because the relationship is icky doesn't mean that she deserved to die.
No. I'm just making sure. Like I'm just saying. Like I don't like Tara. I found her icky. She probably would have been a great character if given the chance to redeem herself. It's just unfortunate we never get that opportunity because, as we find out, Crowley kind of let her die.
Yeah, we meet. Okay, so this is like the meat and potatoes of this episode. We meet Cain. Okay, yes, from Cain and Abel. We know Cain as the father of murder for being the first human to kill another. He actually killed his brother in like a fit of rage and jealousy. And in this particular Bible fanfic, I mean, on the show Supernatural, he is also a knight of hell, just like Abaddon. And he's actually the one who created and trained the knights of hell. And then he also killed them all, except for Abaddon, of course. And we don't quite know what's going on there yet. But, we have an idea because we find out some tea, my friends, about
Mm-hmm.
Cain. He apparently killed his brother so that he wouldn't become Lucifer's pet, which, let me tell you, pretty categorically is not in the Bible. And then he met Colette, who is the love of his life, and she asked him to stop killing, so he stopped killing, which again, not in the Bible. But then Abaddon got jealous and she killed her, and Cain lost it. And now he gave the mark of Cain to Dean, and this mark is supposed to allow him to wield the first blade, which is like the only weapon that can kill a knight of hell. And again, not in the Bible, not in the Bible. Um, and Cain tells Dean that one day he's going to call for Dean to kill him, and yeah, that's it. Also, Cass leaves to go fight Metatron.
Yes,
There you go.
yes.
Just thought I would put that there.
I mean, let's just touch on it now because I want to. I'm sure we'll touch it in story time here and there, but like I really want to kind of like do like the out of story moment here. Like I like there was kind of like this like sarcasm to your little moment there of like the things that weren't in the Bible. And like some of them I kind of like assumed weren't, but like some of them I was like, I wouldn't have been shocked if it was. Like I know Cain kills Abel. I know it wasn't for like becoming Lucifer's pet. But like I don't know if Cain exists in any Bible stories beyond that story. Like what happens to him after he kills Abel? Is it just the end of the story? We never see him again? Like
Well, so I recently found out that after that happens, God actually forgives. This is Old Testament stuff, right? Like, so this is any religion that like follows the Old Testament would kind of know about this. But it turns
yeah,
out that God
Judaism's weird. There's
forgives.
some weird stories that get dropped or like changed. Like I don't know if there's an equivalency in the Old Testament version of the Torah that like we get that has like a parallel to the Cain and Abel story or where it falls or something like that. Like it's one of the ones that just never came up in my childhood.
All I know is that like whenever there was talk of religion in the Jewish communities that I've been a part of, Jewish folks always said like, well, I know the Old Testament, but don't ask me about the new book. Like that was kind of the the line that was drawn in the sand. So this is Old Testament stuff. Yeah, God forgives Cain and actually gives him the mark to show forgiveness so that no other person would actually kill him, to show that he has forgiven Cain for what he's done.
Interesting. So that's the kind of thing, like, again, not knowing that, to me, the mark of Cain does not imply that initially in the episode we get. To me, it is very much a, like, I would say even like a curse more than anything else, and kind of the way they act it up.
Yeah, that's the way it's framed. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's why I'm saying like Bible fanfic. Like that's where we are.
like, and again, like, I also know, like, I'm not expecting you to, like, stick to the Bible by any way, shape, or form. It's already been
Oh.
very clear up to
They
this
made
point.
Eve the mother of demons for crying out loud.
Oh, yeah, no, no.
Oh.
There's lots of things they fucked up here or played with, and that's fine. That's there. It's in the public domain. They can do what they want with it.
They did my girl
Um,
Lilith so dirty.
oh,
Oh
they
my
did.
God.
But like
Anyway.
knowing that about the mark of Cain that I did not know before, I'm now even more curious to see how it is viewed by other people in the story, or how it is played beyond just being the thing that lets you use the blade to kill the knights. If
I mean, I think it's going to be really interesting to see also like who of the story is going to be included and or excluded from future episodes, because we know that Abel is a is a character in the Bible,
Mhm.
but Colette is brand new, right? Like there is no
Yeah.
mention in the Bible of anybody of Cain being part of like the U.S. War of Secession, right?
Yes.
Like, that was not a thing.
No. So again, like I said, like a lot of questions, some stemming more from my lack of knowledge of this area. And I'm curious to see as they come up, and we then kind of get to contrast versus the story they're basing it off of, like this versus what we get in the show, and how that'll affect my opinion.
Yeah, there you go. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more also, but I'm going to mention that later, but like I just didn't want to give everything away when it came to that, the
Yes.
actual lore and mystical story behind it. But we are going to talk about Cain and Abel a little bit more as the episodes go on, because this is actually going to be pretty central to the rest of the season.
That became very apparent at the end of this episode with the parallels they were very blatantly painting on the walls.
Mhm.
Speaking of, shall we head to story time?
Yeah.
This week, our theme is Destiny. And besides being a game I've been playing for over 10 years now, Destiny is something so very intangible. Like, themes we've used in the past often have a very clear definition, and while occasionally we can look at things from a different angle for a new perspective, I don't think the theme of Destiny works without that different perspective. Destiny is, simply put, what one is meant to do. However, the debate then becomes, are our actions predetermined to behold our ultimate destiny, or do we shape our own destiny through the actions and free will? Does destiny even exist in that case then? Big questions. But when used as a lens to look at our characters this week, it may just help us as viewers better understand the choices they make and whether the choices are choices at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty also apparent that I am so happy that we've moved on from like the bulk of the Gadriel storyline and that we've moved on actually to the Mark of Cain storyline because I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And you all are going to hear me rave about it as we go through it, and you're going to be sick of me. You're going to be sick of me. Is what I'm saying.
Be honest, like even though I've only gotten this one episode so far, I'm already on board. I'm like I love this new character. I think he's brilliant. I think he's well acted. I want more of him. I want to see where this goes. I want the backstory. I want the connections. Give me all of it.
Yeah, and I do want to start off this episode with a little bit of very quick etymology about destiny, and it comes from Latin, and it literally means like to stand firm. So to stay, to do a thing, and to make firm, to make tangible, to make real. So it's this idea of like staying the course and staying where you are, and so just etymologically, let's just keep that in mind because I'm going to come back to it.
Oh, that is interesting to keep there. Yeah. So I'd like to start with Sam because as we left him last week, Sam and Dean are apart. And surprisingly, they're not reunited by the end of the episode, which is kind of a pleasant surprise because the few times we've seen them part, either it was a good amount of time, like the beginning of season 6. Otherwise, they generally would reunite and return to status quo by the episode's end. So this is a nice change of pace.
Yeah, I really love it when they keep them apart. And so, well, okay, sometimes, because I really like it when they're doing their own thing, is what I'm trying to say. I
Mm-hmm.
prefer when they're on good terms with one another, of course. I don't like it when they're fighting, but I really do like when they have their own storyline within the same episode. Like, I just find that it opens some narrative doors that otherwise just would not be available if they were together, if that makes sense. And I feel like we couldn't possibly have gotten these two storylines for Sam and Dean if they had been together. Like this would never have happened this way, in my opinion.
Precisely. Their being apart tends to be a great catalyst for the two of them to explore different avenues of a similar trend.
And make terrible choices.
Yes, very much so. It's amazing how bad their decision making skills become the second they're not side by
Yeah.
side. It's like they really are like sharing one brain cell, and when the brain cells split, it really don't do so good.
No, no.
Um, yeah. So to continue with Sam, he is coping with his current reality the way I feel we've seen him adopt more and more since the Demon Blood arc. He feels a need to correct the wrongs he caused, or in this case, was an unwilling part of. So it's time to hunt down Gadriel to avenge Kevin and seemingly get revenge for using his body, which again makes sense. But I will be curious if that does not rear up when they do eventually confront him. Like, how's I don't know. I just feel like there's gonna be a weirdness there.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be a choice that needs to happen, right?
Mm-hmm. Um, and I want to tie Sam very directly to our theme of destiny, and it's seemingly the weakest among the gang we're going to talk about today, I feel. But I do want to reflect on Sam's past, specifically when I feel his nature to want to correct imbalance was tied to this like roots of when Azazel revealed to him just how much of his life growing up was influenced by demons posing as people in Sam's young life. I think Sam has a real crisis of identity, wondering how much of who he is or was may have been tarnished by, bearing a demonic influence upon him. Was this Sam's destiny, as it seemed Hell was so convinced it was, or were there choices made by Sam, even if under influence or guidance, uh, unbeknownst to him potentially, that may have changed where he has ended up?
So choosing the theme of destiny was really, really purposeful here, not just for this episode, but really for the rest of the season. And yes, definitely for the rest of the series. Um, if we also go back to the first Chuck episode where he's a prophet and he can tell exactly what the brothers are going to do from moment to moment, like it's really unnerving that moment. But it's there. And we talked a little bit about destiny and free will in that episode.
Yeah.
And I do want to remind us all that Castiel, our beloved angel of Thursday, and Dean Winchester, a hunter with a GED and a bad attitude, basically fall in love and start making it up as they go, right? Like that's the story that happens in front of our eyes, and I am sticking to it. So even within the narrative of the show, like we've already been told that there are certain elements of destiny and other elements of agency where the characters can actually make choices that influence the narrative. And so I think looking at this episode and 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 like the choices that the characters are making in this episode, because these choices, like basically wondering if these choices are a result of their previous programming or their previous trauma, or something that they're actually choosing to do in light of recent growth. And I think that Sam's action in this episode are very, very much in line with his self-sacrificing archetype, right? Like he's ready to die to find Gadriel, the same way that he was ready to die to put Lucifer back in his cage in season 5, and the exact same way that he was ready to die to close the gates of hell just last season. And so, in that sense, I do believe that Sam is standing firm in his previous programming without actually being like, hey, I've tried this a bunch of times. It doesn't work. Maybe I should try something else, right? Like he is not actually tapping into his agency in this moment.
Very well put. I think that's a very great spot to look at this theme from, because yes, this does seem very on par for Sam. You're right. This very much is him standing firm in the ways we've seen him.
Mhm.
But then, and this is I think the snake eating its own tail of the whole question, is that because the demonic influence from all the demons throughout his life, he didn't know were demons, that the nature versus nurture type thing changed the way he does things, and this is now a byproduct of that? Or is this the true Sam he always would have been regardless, and which of those is truly destiny or not?
Mhm. Well, that's the thing. I think my whole point throughout this episode is going to be like thinking about your previous actions and deciding whether you want to continue within these actions or whether you're going to break the cycle, I think.
Yeah, I think the looking forward, like considering the actions you will take based upon what your learned experience, I think that's kind of where like it really becomes the fork in the road, and we kind of get to see how they choose those
Yeah,
choices, which really make the story.
exactly.
We do need to quickly discuss Sam's willingness to suffer or punish himself for the greater good. I feel this too stems from like what we've seen Sam go through regarding his time with Lucifer. So, like you said, it's the continuing actions, standing firm on actions we get. Um, his free will in all past cases were either completely removed from him or heavily influenced by an outsider, almost always lying to him or tricking him into taking certain actions he would not normally take. Sam has so often lost his free will, whether he recognized it or not, in those moments. And despite knowing now that he was often not in control as he thought he was, he felt that next to not only course correct, but suffer as a punishment. Like he's not just good with the like, I need to fix things. I have to atone for the things I did wrong, even if I wasn't necessarily doing them of my own volition. Uh, and again, we find Sam in a position where his actions were not his own, like the past ones. Uh, and here, even more literally than in the past, where he wasn't being like coerced or convinced, he was literally being controlled. But despite that, he feels that it's his mess to clean up. He's allowing himself to suffer with the extraction of the grace, not only because it's possibly a solution, but because he thinks he deserves the pain.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's definitely like a self-flagellating thing going on for Sam here. I also think that it's really interesting that his intent, or, or at least like his stated intent, when he's doing this is to take back agency and to step into his agency. Like he says that this is his choice in order to do a right thing, to right a wrong, right? But I just cannot stop thinking that this is just like another rinse and repeat of his self-destructive cycle. Like, there's just this part of me that just wants to sit Sam down and just be like, my guy, you are so smart, but you're also so dumb at the same time. Because in order to exercise agency, you need to be able to take in the clues and the cues from like your past actions and your environment and realize that like when something that you didn't work before, you need to try something else next time, right? Like And here he is doing the same thing over and over again. Like, that's not agency, that's just reacting. And I think that in that sense, like, Sam is definitely, like, quote unquote, following his destiny of self-sacrifice. He could choose not to do that, but like that demands a lot. Like, I don't want to make it sound like, oh, it's really simple. You just choose not to do it. Because it's not. When you've been like programmed to do certain things through your childhood, through your trauma, through like all of that stuff, it's like, but how? Well, but that's what we all have to learn, right? Like, that's the big question. How do we
Yeah.
do things differently?
And again, the question I'm left with for Sam here is, will is his destiny to continue down this path until an ultimate sacrifice, or until he gets close enough but it pays off, or is the eventual learning that this is the wrong path and changing paths the destiny he's destined for? Like, again, I can't know till the end. I don't want you to spoil, obviously, but
My whole point, I think, is that he gets to make that decision.
true. No, and ultimately it is a decision.
To a certain degree, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he does have some agency in the whole thing. He does have some way of making some decisions that can affect his life. And right now, all the decisions that he's making seem to be in the interest of like self destruction.
Yeah, we need to get him to get over that. Like you said, he needs to have someone needs to sit him down and have a good chat with him.
I
Um,
know, my poor Bean. I love him.
and I mean, someone kind of tries to this week with
I
Cass.
know he does. I love him so much.
So, like, breaking up the order here a bit, because we're gonna go with Cass next instead of the usual Sam and Dean. Because Cass weirdly spends the episode with Sam. Like, we almost get some Sam Cass buddy comedy moments. Like, nothing like we see later with Dean and Crowley, obviously.
I just love the chaos that emerges when Cass and Sam are together. Sam, can I ask you a question? Well, you already did. Oh, can I ask you another one? Well, I mean, sure, fine. And this is like so tame compared to other stuff that we're going to get later on. But like, I love them together. And I think it's a crime that well, I understand why we didn't get that many, just because apparently, like, Jared basically like was waging war against Misha Collins on set, like with pranks, with this, with that. And so they were impossible to film just together. So anyway, moving on. I really wish that we had had more Sam and Cass scenes. But I do want to point out that we are bringing up the early seasons pretty heavily in this episode so far, and that this is a switch from what we're used to. We're used to Dean with angels and Sam with demons, but this is the opposite for
It
like the
is.
first time.
It
Sam
really.
is with Cass, and he's dealing with angels, and Dean is with Crowley, dealing with demons.
It is kind of, yeah, this is kind of the first time we've had this switch around. You're right. Ooh. What does that mean for more future episodes? I don't know. I'm excited either way.
I don't
but
know.
yeah, no, I love that whole can I ask you a question bit was just like, this is so Abbott and Costello. I fucking love this.
It was so simple, and yes,
It's so
like,
simple. And like it's such a Sam thing to be like, let me like play like the petulant child card of like, well, technically, and then Cash just like taking
well,
it. Oh, you're right.
actually.
Like, oh, you're right. Let me try again. And no, you don't. Never mind. But yeah, to recenter on Cass here. Like in his early days as an angel before becoming human or finding Dean or any of his growth, he was a soldier of heaven. He had rules, goals, and a destiny to fulfill. I think a greater destiny, kind of like a all of mankind, heaven kind, angel kind destiny, but a destiny nonetheless. But now he has friends, love, and PB&J sandwiches. Or at least he did before the whole tasting like molecule issue, as we discussed. But what we have here is Cass reflecting on his so-called destiny. And even that destiny has evolved with him as he's learned and grown among humans and seeing angels as less than they once were in his eyes. Cass sees the joy in the little things in life and is starting to realize that having an end goal, a thing that all your life is designed to lead you to, is potentially boring. It doesn't contain moments of joy or learning or happiness. He sees that Sam is pushing himself too much in an attempt to reach a goal that might seem super important and potentially permanently injure or kill him. And in response, he stops him, like, which on reflection feels very Dean, stopping Sam from hurting himself or taking away his agency in a moment, forcing him to stop.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's adorable because Cass in that moment's like looking back at his precious lost sandwich, that Sam could stop trying to achieve his end goals as fast and as recklessly as he can and instead slow down, take some time to live life and still work towards your goals. Burnout leave is important for mental health. Cass
Oh,
says so.
I just love that moment. Like I love the sandwich. I love the stopping Sam from hurting himself. Like I love the banter. I love it all. Again, I love this episode. And it's just such a great one for Cass. Like I love it. This is peak Cass. Um, One last thing that I want to point out is that Cass is also talking about exactly the same thing I was talking about before with Sam. Um, because he's saying that there was a time where he wouldn't even thought twice about Sam dying to retrieve Gadriel's grace, but now he knows better and he wants to do better because Cass is and always has been the beacon of agency or free will, to use the verbiage of the show. Um, because he is actually not standing firm in the things that he did or that happened to him in the past that could very easily dictate his behavior. He's actually taking in new information and allowing himself to be flexible and to change his mind and proceed differently. And I just, again, in that sense, this is a very healthy way of moving through life.
So now that we're done with that duo, I want to move over to Dean because Dean, like Sam, finds himself with a new partner for the day, and pairing him up with Crowley was just chef's kiss.
So I started doing this thing on Rude Eats with Jeremy where I just put like emojis as reactions. And I did the first one here with you, Drew, and it's basically like the demon mask in this one. Yeah.
It's in the notes, and I'm like, did I put that there? I mean, it's exactly what I'm feeling right now. So like, I could have put it there, but no. So it was you, good, but also love this.
So yeah, so this is my reaction, demon mask emoji, essentially,
Yes.
to this particular sentence.
So Dean joins Crowley as their goals for now are aligned. But we see by the end two major things for Dean: the dark influence of Crowley woven through the day's events to lead Dean to where he needed him, and the passing of the mark of Cain, which has some very Destiny-ass vibes to it, if you ask me.
Mm,
Yeah, okay, I read that one right.
yep, you certainly did.
So I want to touch on two things. First is the Crowley plot for Dean. He had this whole thing planned out. Like, I knew something was up when he didn't notice the demon following him. Like that moment in the bar, I'm like, oh, something's up. Crowley knew where they were going to end up. He knew who the weapon belonged to, and he knew that he can get the power of the weapon into Dean's hands, as it does imply Crowley knew he couldn't do it himself. All of this brings us back to Dean, who now, upon reflecting, has to wonder if he would have done things differently if not for the plotting of Crowley here. And will this ultimately pay off to be a bigger problem, similar to Sam using his demon blood powers?
Time only will tell.
I know, I'm putting you in the position. Second, though, is my question was this destined to happen? Like, this feels very Destiny-esque, like I said. Like I said, my knowledge of Cain and Abel basically extends to brother killed brother because God, I think, jealousy, all that. But we instead get this supernatural version, as told by Cain, as you explained up at the top in this fanfic. And brother killing brother talks about deals and relationships with demons and Lucifer. I feel like I'm driving behind a log truck here, if you know what I mean. The parallels in their stories and the relationship and the brother does make like Cain and Dean connection and like the passing of the mark feel like a much bigger deal than just giving Dean a little power up. This feels like a prophecy of sorts, and I do not know how to feel about it yet.
This is the time in the podcast dear listeners, where I am going to have to start talking in riddles again. So,
Oh no.
you're gonna notice, Drew, that there's a lot of things that I don't respond to what you're saying. So again, I will mention that we're gonna talk about Cain and Abel, and the Cain and Abel story a lot more as time goes on. So I'm gonna skip over that for now. But I will say that yes, to quote you, that storyline is definitely has some very Destiny-ass vibes to it. Because again, Dean is taking on something that he shouldn't have to take on in order to do what he thinks is right. You know, think back to the deal that he made to save Sam, for example. So Dean is again standing firm and like reacting with trauma rather than making his own choices with his own agency. And again, we're going to be talking about Cain a lot more throughout the season, so I don't want to give up too much too soon. But listeners know, especially those who have seen the show, they know that I'm basically foaming at the mouth right now, because I want to say stuff, but I can't.
Which just means we have good stuff coming up, and I'm so excited.
Oh, for sure.
Lastly, we have one last player we need to discuss, and that is Crowley. Crowley never changes. Like, he's conniving, smart, funny, a bit scary at times. Like, please never change. I love it.
I love him too. We all know. We all know. He's my best girl.
He's so good.
My sweet cheese.
My
good time boy.
It is amazing to me here how he seems to be turning a new leaf in his team up with Dean, like taking orders and generally being the sidekick to Dean's protagonist role. Like, all clues I'm now shocked I did not pick up on this whole time were like part of his big secret plan. Like, he doesn't play second fiddle unless it's part of a bigger game. And again, like, it's not unsaid he's clearly gunning for his crown staying on his head and hell staying under his thumb. A bit of manifesting destiny today, both in his plan to find a way to kill Abaddon and restoring order. But again, also in his trickery of making Dean into the weapon for that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm just going to restate that this season so far, we've basically seen Crowley playing the long game, and this was no different. This was no different. And you have no idea how far this thing goes.
I'm so excited. Like, if this was any indication of the bullshit Crowley's going to like drop on us of like remember that time in season 2 when I first appeared and I said this one line to this one demon and this domino effect?
Yeah.
Like, I'm waiting for, that meme with the really small domino and the really big domino. And it's just like Crowley orders sandwich. Crowley kills God. Like something crazy like that. You know what? I heard it when I said it, and I'm now not doubting it.
Okay, let's move on. What are your story thoughts?
Thank you for asking. I want to kind of do a quick recap in the story thoughts here of just my view of the 4 main players currently, and their relationship to the theme, because I think it's very interesting how all 4 are very different. So Sam thought he had a destiny, but it was all demon lies, so now he looks to balance the scales. Dean seems much more the make your own fate type, yet his connection to Cain does feel very Destiny-ass vibes. Cass had a destiny, and through learning and growing has realized that his destiny that was told to him was not the one he wanted or needed. And Crowley feels he is destined to rule hell and will take whatever bloody action is needed to assure he gets the destiny he's manifesting. And I love that we get like these 4 different views and how they are like currently looking as a story beat now and how they will eventually like spread into the future. Like, will they stay on these courses? Will things get diverted? Mm-hmm. Obviously I'm beyond intrigued to know what this all means for Dean. Like, I will need to assume it will clearly be something that comes up in regards to him and Sam and the overlap between them and Cain and Abel. Oh, I mean, is there more to Abel maybe being connected to the demon blood from the start? That would be nuts. I'm just saying, like, if we fight like the whole like Lucifer picking Sam and the demon blood thing, and then their version of Abel being like Lucifer's pet, like, is there more of a connection with Sam and Abel there? Is there some sort of like weird destiny bullshit linking thing? I'm so intrigued. I want more, and I know you can't say anything, and that's fine.
I'm just smiling,
Yep.
listeners. I'm
Just
screaming with you because I know that wherever you are, whether it's in your car or at the grocery store or on your walk, I know that you're screaming right now. And I'm screaming in my head with
pull out
you.
your phone, make a voice recording, yell into it, put a reminder on it for roughly 3 years from now that we're going to do like a voicemail episode. It's just people yelling at Drew all the things they couldn't yell during the show. And I will sit here and take
Exactly.
it.
I love it.
Lastly, I really love seeing Sam and Dean's dynamic in other pairings like this, like especially ones we don't get to see often, specifically Sam and Cass, because like Crowley is being the Crowley we love, Dean is being the Dean we love. They work well together, but like Sam and Cass, as you pointed out, doesn't happen often, and it's like such a fun, different dynamic. Like they really feel like different personality quirks come out, and I just think it's so wholesome, and I love it.
I know. They're honestly some of my favorite together, to be honest with you. And I'm still so sad that they never got to like actually spend that much more time together.
Dang.
So I'm going to start Critical Time today by telling you a bit of a story. And it starts with me not raising my son to be religious, right? Like he's not baptized, and until very recently, he had never been to mass. Um, in kindergarten, he made a friend who definitely came from a very religious family, and he took the Bible stories that he was hearing from his community very literally. So every night for a few months, all I heard when I picked up my 5-year-old was about like the miracles of Jesus and how Jesus is all of our friends and how we all need to believe in Jesus and love Jesus. And if you know me at all, you know that religious faith isn't really something that's strong in me, but what is strong is my desire to raise my son with love and acceptance. And so I kind of resigned myself and I'm like, well, I guess my son is a Christian, like I'm not entirely sure how we ended up here, but here we are. Now, this was 2019, 2020, so obviously COVID hits, and my son basically hasn't been in that little boy's class ever since. And so he didn't really talk about Jesus that often anymore, right? Flash forward to this summer. We fly to France, and the very first thing that we do is go to my grandfather's Remembrance Mass. And that was his very first Mass that he went to. And I can tell that he is absolutely having a religious experience. Like he is in tears in the church, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be hearing about Jesus again. Like for sure. This is just going to be a thing that's going to happen. Week 2 that we're in France, it's my sister's wedding, another mass, right? Because they chose to have mass at their wedding. And again, I can tell that he's having like a spiritual experience in this moment. And I'm like, geez, I don't know what to do. Week 3, we decide to go to the local abbey where the nuns who live there make probably some of the best chocolate that I've ever had. And it's like 5 minutes away from where my sister and brother-in-law live. So no mass this time, but we do spend some time in the church. And even though there's no mass, there is definitely a nun who's there who is like tuning a harpsichord. And so she's playing it and tuning it, and the music is beautiful. And again, my child is having a spiritual experience. So we go to the store where they sell the chocolate, and they also sell other things like incense and prayer cards and Bibles. My son comes to see me very seriously, and he's like, there's something here that I want to get. And friends, it is a graphic novel of the Bible.
Oh
Um,
my God.
so my sister sees this, and she knows about the whole Jesus loving kindergarten friend, and she knows how much her nephew enjoyed going to mass, and she also knows about my dislike of organized religion, and she's just kind of laughing at the whole thing because she knows that I'm at a crossroads, right? Because she knows how much I want to make sure that my son gets to explore his identity, but I'm also like, I cannot follow you there, right? And so that's the story of how we got our very first Bible in the house. Um, so I know that this is a bit of a long story, but I wanted to explain why I might be a little bit more knowledgeable than before about Bible stories, because now I actually have to read the freaking Bible so that I can have like meaningful and thoughtful conversations with my son about it. Because that's the point that I want to try to get across here. We take stories from the Bible, or we can take stories from the Bible a few different ways, right? One of them is very literally, like my son's friend in kindergarten, but another way, and perhaps more interesting in my view, um, is as a way to reflect on the big questions about what it means to be human and to live a meaningful life, right? And I think that that is also true about the show Supernatural as a whole. Yes, we can take it very literally and think that their destiny is written in stone by prophets of the Lord, right? Like because that literally happens, right? That is literally what is told on the show, the gospel of the Winchesters, blah blah blah. But another option is that we can reflect on the things that they can't change about themselves, like their social class, like their past, like their upbringing, and the things that happened to them, and the way that their father was with them, and the fact that their mom died. And we can wonder whether, or we can wonder how many of their decisions are still to this day being guided by the trauma that they've lived through rather than by the life that they actually want to build for themselves and the people that they want to be. And so, my question for everyone today is how does Supernatural, the show, use the concept of destiny as something either written by prophets or shaped by trauma to explore the tension between who the characters were, quote unquote, meant to be and who they might choose to become?
First of all, love that story. I am so intrigued. The next time I'm in town, I need to see this graphic novel. I am like so curious.
It's the Bible in a graphic novel, and it's very simplified. Like there's not a lot of nuance, which is why I really want to be involved in this conversation.
Good call. Good call. I can imagine there has to be some corners cut or of the liking. But I also love this question because it really so clearly defines what it is about destiny as a concept and a tool used in this show that makes it so interesting because it really is this 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 unknown future, these unknown moments that are to come,
Mhm.
because we don't really know something was destined until it has happened and is now set in stone. Everything going forward is unwritten. Yes, we've had the literal tablets and prophecies, and even those have we've seen swayed. We had a tablet that was very clearly how to do XYZ, and we started doing those trials to close hell, and then it didn't happen because choices were made to not do it, not complete it, because the outcome was not worth the cost. But I think that is so what I love here. So we get these moments where, like you said today with Sam, there is a very clear trajectory for his character, for his choices, for his decisions, for his actions, based upon what we know. But we don't know how far that will go forward. It could seemingly be forever, but next week might be the episode where he has a realization and completely changes course. And whether that comes from a prophecy, maybe something tied to Abel, I don't know, I still don't know, or something like this traumatic moment of Gadriel and eventually facing him and maybe deciding to forgive him or come to an understanding, or a million things that could happen that could either further traumatize him or help him heal from the trauma that might lead him down a different path. And I just think it gives us such a good tool because it sets up it really just, it's setting expectations for us as a viewer that it can either follow through on and we feel like you know what, I get it, I'm connecting to it, I'm following the plot here, or the reverse of that, where suddenly we go like, oh my God, something has changed. What does this mean? What was the cause? How do we reevaluate this character moving forward? And both, I think, are beautiful tools for storytelling and just make me more excited to watch these four and their destinies unfold, if any. This week we have a message from Shaylee. Before we listen to it, we want to remind you to send us a 3-minute voicemail. To respond to anything we discussed today or ask us a question, you can use the recording app on your phone and email us that recording at carryingwayward@gmail.com.
Hello, Carrying Wayward. While listening to the other voice memo on your newest episode, it brought about some thoughts to me. So I have seen the show like over 6 times, probably way more than that. And every time I watch it, I'm like, there is no way that John Winchester isn't abusive. Period. And I'm just curious how you feel about that. John Winchester has on multiple occasions shows that he's not a good father. But thinking of episodes like the night at Sunny's, when Dean was stuck there overnight and he had bruises, or even looking back in his journal where Dean has written the page that basically says he knows. And I think it's this abuse that has led Dean to want to be more sheltered or stay in the closet more. However, I feel like Sam would also be abused. Everyone always thinks that it's just Dean that was abused. In my opinion, Sam was also abused. Like, clearly he was neglected. Dean had to go out and probably sell himself in order to get food for Sam. And he stole food. That's why he ended up at Sunny's. But Sam butted heads with his dad. Sam tried everything to get away. And to me, that reminds me of emotional abuse. Their dad had basically told him he's never going to be good enough. He's not going to be better than a hunter. He leaves, he dies. And while sadly that is the truth, as a father, he had no reason to tell his kids that. No reason. And Sam did get out. Sam got out for a while. If it wasn't for the curse that, and I'm not sure if Drew knows this or not, but if it wasn't for the curse that their mother gave them, honestly, their mother's painted in an amazing light, but Mary wasn't any better. She gave up her second-born child in order to save her husband. And yes, I know that's why the boys were born. It had to happen. It's a canon event. That does not make it any better. I know she's young, but still. So in my opinion, both John and Mary were neglectful parents. Mary might have been unconsciously, but I think John was very subconscious about that. And it's kind of just food for thought, because I know a lot of the fandom does not like John Winchester, because we all know he is the reason the boys are who they were at the moment. I always get the thought and wonder, what if the boys had just stayed at Bobby's house longer? Because we know that Bobby is the parental figure for them. I have to wonder if they would have came out who they were today if they had stayed at Bobby's longer, or if they wouldn't have been hunters. I don't think they would have been hunters. I think Bobby would have raised them like a loving parent should. He'd make sure they know, enough to protect them, but he'd also make sure they go to things like ball games and school. But yeah, that is just my take on it, and I'd love to hear more about your guys' take on it.
Shaylee, thank you for a lovely message. I wanted a few things I want to touch on. One, I mean, you are right. I think we put so much hate on John that we forget that Mary was also sort of complicit, although kind of backed into a corner to save him. Not a great excuse, but still. Then moving over to John, what I really want to kind of look at here is the abuse. This is not the first message we've received on the subject. I doubt it will be the last, and I doubt it's the last time we'll talk about it for many reasons. But I think the fact that the type of abuse that he put both Sam and Dean through in different ways are what we can use to help kind of understand the choices they make. So again, very thematic to this episode in the way that we have a through line for Sam and Dean because of the actions they've taken, but those actions are again formed by how they were raised, which unfortunately was by John in some very terrible ways. Because again, the abuse, while the Dean side of it, as we said in the past, is much more surface level. It's the kind of stuff we can see and talk about and is visual. Sam has taken a lot more of the emotional beating, as it seems. So they are going to manifest differently in the way they respond to things, the way they've grown, the way they cope, the way they deal. Which then leads perfectly to the third thing I want to tackle, which is Bobby. And I think there's a hopefulness in it, Shaylee. I'm with you. I think there is a world in which they go to live with Bobby. Bobby quits hunting to raise them, and they get the perfect ordinary life they deserve. I think deep down, Bobby is also a bit of a stick in the mud and stubborn and would not give up hunting. He would hide it from them. And we all know hiding something from impressionable kids who want to just be like their cool parent figure doesn't end well, and they would just get into it anyways. But at least with someone who cares about them, sets limits, makes it like part of their life, not their entire life, and I think would ultimately have led them to a better future. But that is the conceit of this entire conversation today with Destiny and whether we are predetermined for things. Like, will they always end up as hunters, or could a change in their past make that difference? Maybe they still end up as hunters, but a different type of hunter. Who knows? And unfortunately, it's the what if fanfics we need next, or the what if series to come after this.
The what if series and also the alternate universes is what we need in this.
Yes.
In this, right? Wouldn't that be amazing?
I want the Marvel what if, but for Supernatural. Give me just pick an episode, throw in a what if at the beginning. I could see some magic writing out of that.
And then they meet the different.
And all the Sam and Deans from all the different universes in one super mega devil fight.
In the bunker.
In the bunker. I just then pictured the end credits scene would be like 18 different versions of Bobby all sitting down to get their toes painted and watching like Dancing with the Stars or something.
Ah, I love that.
That's perfect.
Yeah, Shaylee, thank you so much for this voicemail. I feel like we've talked about this a lot on the podcast. And I'm trying not to like repeat myself, or maybe this is just conversations that I have in my head. I don't know. I'm not sure, to be honest.
We've all hit that point.
But I completely agree. I think that, we tend to, especially the side of the fandom that we're on, we tend to kind of like forget that Sam was also abused. It'd be just, because Dean did his best to try to shield Sam from it. Sam is an intelligent individual. He understood what was going on. Or at least understood a lot more than Dean thought. And I think also kids, even if they don't understand necessarily exactly, they still feel the things, right? And so I don't think I'm going to be very careful how I phrase this, but I know how hard Dean tried to shield Sam. And I know that he managed to do it for certain things, but he definitely could not do it for everything. Because again, 9-year-olds are not supposed to raise like 6-year-olds. So no matter what, Sam did not have his needs met, right? I think that's the least we can say about that. And that is, again, I'm being very careful about what I'm saying. It is not Dean's fault. It is John's fault, right? Like, period. I am kind of a Mary apologist, so I'm not really gonna go into that. There have been entire TikToks full of comments hating Mary that I have like fought for my life in. Trust me. Because at the end of the day, Mary did, even though she absolutely did, she sold one of her children in order to save her future husband. She does literally put her body on the line in order to undo that decision, right? To try to undo that. Unfortunately, she doesn't, and that's what launches a bunch of stuff. So yeah, I think again, like it shows that Mary first reacted not necessarily through her agency, but more as a reaction to trauma, and then decided to break the cycle and to say no in this particular instance, because there's other stuff that we're going to eventually learn about Mary too. So that's exciting. Always excited about that. And yes, of course, Bobby, Bobby's summer camp would have been really fantastic. I think that Bobby would not have let or would have used like pelletry as like a reward for Dean for getting good grades kind of thing, Like I think that that's how he could have done it. I know that if I had to care for a child a little bit like Dean, that's probably how I would do it. So like, that's I think that that could have been a lot of fun. But yeah, I completely agree with you. First of all, yes, of course, John Winchester was abusive. We know that. We know that. He at the very least, neglected these children. At the very least. And we know that he hit them also. We know it. It's in there. So yeah, sorry about that. Sorry to end on a bummer, but yeah, completely agree with you, Shaylee. Thank you so much for the voicemail.
Yeah, thank you. So, Mary, what did you learn this week?
I mean, to me, this episode is all about like patterns and either like recreating them or choosing to break them. And it really shows like just how hard it is to break those patterns because we're always going to find ways to justify recreating them, right? So I'm just reminded, I guess, to have some grace for those of us who are having a hard time breaking toxic cycles.
Ooh.
What about you, Drew?
I wrote this down, but I want to like kind of go off the cuff a little bit with this one because it's Crowley. I learned from Crowley today. He taught me a lesson.
Aww,
and
my favorite girl.
And like we put into a perspective of like this conniving, like, ooh, I had this dastardly plan the whole time. But the part we don't really discuss is that his plan relied on him trusting Dean, believing in Dean's abilities, and the ability to sort of shut up and let someone else take the wheel for a minute. And I just want to like remind myself and like think of that sometimes. Like sometimes like your goals or like seeing the outcome you want in life is just believing in the right people, the people you truly trust and believe and love, and letting them steer you in the right direction.
You're making that so incredibly meaningful, and I love that. But I do have to say that I think Crowley just wants Dean to be his murder husband.
That might be the goal he wants at the end, but you can't really have a murder husband if you don't trust them a little bit.
Exactly, but that's the whole point. You have to trust your murder husband. That's the whole point.
Oh, yeah.
Have you not watched Hannibal?
I actually have not. I have to admit that to you now. It's on the list. I need to do it.
This was Carrying Wayward, a supernatural podcast produced by Rochelle Castellano, hosted by Marie Vigourou
and Drew Schulman. Thank you to everyone supporting us on Ko-fi or Patreon,
including our bunker patrons, Jeremiah Thomas and Michelle.
We'd also like to thank Jake Lionheart for our music.
Head over to carryingwayward.com to become a patron or a Ko-fi subscriber, and for our merch store and our socials. And write us a review on Apple Podcasts.
Carry on our wayward friends.